Paris.
BBC Radio Solent.
13 minutes past 7 now. You might remember last week we spoke to Pete McCleave. We told you his story, actually. He took part in the Weymouth Ironman last year in spite of the fact that he has myeloma, which is an incurable type of blood cancer, which means that he only has around 7 years to live unless he can find a stem cell match. And that's led to him and his family, including 8-year-old Maxwell, trying to encourage people to sign up to the stem cell register.
If my dad doesn't find a stem cell match, he will only have 7 more years with me, and I want lots more.
Well, that's quite a hard plea to ignore, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So we had Pete on the show last week, and I said, look, I'll go on the website, I'll fill out my details, and I will sign up to the stem cell register, which is why I have this envelope.
Here it is.
Which I haven't opened yet.
Yes.
From DKMS, who say we delete blood cancer. And we actually have Lisa Nugent from DKMS on the phone with us now. Lisa, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you there. I'm going to open this envelope while we talk, if you'll forgive me. Tell me just a bit more about the stem cell donor register then. So what is it you are trying to find out from people that might help people like Pete McCleave?
So many people don't realise that blood cancers like leukemia and myeloma can be treated. Patients can get what we call a second chance of life through finding a matching donor. And in only 3 cases out of 10 does that matching donor come from within the family unit. So it's not uncommon for patients to be in the same situation as Pete, where they're relying on a total stranger to save their life. And what our charity does is we recruit those lovely total strangers who might one day in the future be prepared to donate their stem cells.
Okay. The sign-up process for that seems to be relatively straightforward, so Charlotte can attest. I've opened the envelope. I have a little plastic container here with 3 cheek swabs inside it.
Yes.
And then there's an envelope to send these back in and some stickers with barcodes on. So I become a barcode, a number, not a free man. And what do you want, Lisa? What do you want me to do with these cheek swabs then?
Okay, so the first thing to check with you, Steve, is whether or not you've had anything to eat or drink in the last hour. And if you
yes, water.
Fabulous, that's
and I
great.
think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yes, just water.
Great. If you had, sort of taken over a bacon sandwich to sort of start the morning off, then I would be asking you to have some water just to rinse your mouth, because we don't want any food debris going off with your swab.
Oh, he's giving it a good rinse. Lovely.
Yeah, just to be on the safe side.
Fabulous. So what I would like you to do, you said you have 3 cheek swabs in that pack. We're going to open the pack and take 1 swab out for me, please, Steve.
Okay, I've got one in my hand.
Great. So what we're going to do is this first cheek swab, you're going to pop it in your mouth and you're going to rub it on the inside of the cheek, covering the full cheek surface for a minute for me.
Okay.
And I warn you now, this is going to seem like the longest minute of your life. I do have the timer here for you.
Well, we've got a timer in the studio, I think, and this is going to make for some great radio, so I'm going to pass over to my erstwhile colleague, Charlotte Foote, to maybe ask you some questions. Who started the timer?
Hang on, Steve. The last time I used this timer, it was on for 12 minutes. So let me just take that off a second. Okay, a minute. Here we go.
Okay, I'm in.
Fabulous.
Okay, counting down. Lisa, just explain why there are 3 cheek swabs in the pack. What's the kind of difference, and what are the different things you need to do with each?
Okay, so we are testing for different things with the swab. So the first swab, we determine your HLA typing. Now, many people think that with stem cell donation, it's similar to blood in that you have your A type and your O type. It's actually much more complex. We have around 17,000 different characteristics that we're looking at.
I'm still going, by the way.
He's still going.
Fabulous. Because they can occur in different combinations, we need to determine your HLA typing. So that's the first swab. The second swab looks at something called CMV status. Now, CMV is a harmless virus that any one of us can get at any time of our life. But it's very important that a patient and donor share the same status. So as a patient is positive...
hang on. That's the end of my minutes.
That is the end of your minute. Yes, minute up, Steve.
Okay, so I take.
Sorry, Lisa, you were interrupted there.
Well, and this swab now goes into the envelope. Does it just as is?
So if you need to hold on to it to dry for a
Let
little
it
while
dry for
for
5
me,
minutes.
Steve, please.
Okay.
Yeah, so what you could do is you could do your other swabs, allow them to dry for 5 minutes, and then put them in the swab wallet.
I tell you what, Lisa, what we'll do, if you hang on the line,
Okay.
we've got a nice little junction that we can use here.
Okay.
So I can do the next one. So we'll do the headlines. While Charlotte does the travel, I'll do swab number 2.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to Lisa Nugent, who is from DKMS. You got a text message there, Charlotte.
Thank you.
In just a moment. It is 18 minutes past 7. That's the problem with these smartphones. They do seem so much.
I know. I'm trying to use.
Thank you, Charlotte. Lisa Nugent staying with us. She's the head of donor recruitment at DKMS. Lisa, just before we let you go, I'm going to do swab number 3, I think, during the sport in about 10 minutes' time. So we'll hold on to that. But a couple of quick questions. If somebody who's a stem cell donor turns out to be a match, what is the donation procedure? How trying is that for somebody who signed up to the register?
Okay, so in 90% of cases, donation is via a method called peripheral blood stem cell collection. And the easiest way to describe that is it's similar to giving blood, but for a longer period of time. So your blood is taken from one arm, pumped through a machine to filter out your stem cells, and then given back to you through the other arm. And that happens on a continuous cycle for between 4 to 6 hours. And to support that, the donor would have a daily injection of a stimulating hormone called GCSF for 4 days prior to that to encourage the stem cells to mobilise. It's only in 10% of cases that donation is via a method that most people think of, which would be the bone marrow collection from the needle into the hip bone under anaesthetic.
Okay, and one final thing. I know that I made this mistake on air a couple of weeks ago. I know that there are some stem cell registers that cut off at 30 years old. You take people, I think, up to the age of 55. Why is that? Why is there that age discrepancy? Are people who are over the age of 30 are still useful to you?
Definitely. I mean, at the moment in the UK, only 2% of the population are on the stem cell register, which is why we believe that anyone between the age of 17 and 55 and in general good health should sign up as a potential donor. We're not in the luxurious position that there is always a match for someone. It's better to have a donor that might be slightly older, like myself, than no donor at all.
Okay, well look, if people want to find out more, then it's dkms.org.uk. I will get the final one of these swabs swabbed in the next 15 minutes or so and get them back in the post to you later on, and fingers crossed I'm of some use to someone.
Fabulous, and don't forget to put your sticker on your swab wallet, Steve.
Understood, I love stickers, I'll be right across that. Good to talk to you this morning, Lisa Nugent, who is the head of donor recruitment at DKMS.